Hi and welcome. My name's Alexander Oxford,
And I'm Holly Johnson.
and you're probably here because you want to make some kind of change in your life.
Maybe changed your relationship, your career.
Maybe you want to build more wealth, or maybe you just want to become an influential public figure.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, there's probably something stopping you, and you just can't figure that out.
Well, you might be thinking, what is wrong with me? Why am I not getting the results I want?
Yeah,
Why haven't I been able to manifest my dreams?
and you've probably tried so many things, and you just feel stuck.
Well, the only difference between you and someone who's manifested their dreams is that the other person actually has changed the paradigm.
That's right. So I want to welcome you. And I'm just going to share our screen here to our Paradigm Discovery Workshop. So just give me one moment while I share that screen. Here we are.
It's great because everything starts with a change in your thoughts, which then leads to a shift in your paradigm.
It certainly does. So let's discover what a paradigm is and how we got there in the first place. And then we can discuss on how we can transform that so we can change the life that we want and manifest everything that we want. Would that be okay?
I think that'd be great because I think it's important that people know those who are manifesting everything they want, those that have the career, the wealth, the relationship, not just on social media, but also in real life, are the ones who are invested, the people taking so much time to think about what they actually want.
Absolutely. And that's a really key factor there is to think about what it is they really truly want. So let's have a look at how we got here in the first place. So here's the perception of our reality, which is the model of the world in which we live in. And how to get this way in the first place? Like when you have a look at the things around you, how do you interact with things? How do you interact with people? When you think of certain ideas, when you think of certain opportunities, where does your mind go? And this has been all influenced from the decisions that we've made from day zero to now. And if we have a look at the slide here, we have a few things in regards to filters that go through our consciousness and then feed us at the unconscious level. And that's what we're really, really interested in, is what has seeped through into our unconscious mind, because that's where all our beautiful behaviors come from. And the thing is, the more conscious we can become on how we've programmed ourselves, the more we can change those programs.
Indeed. And those filters are the things that we've learned through our friends, family, relationships of all kinds, through school, and everything that sort of developed those values, beliefs, and morals that we have.
Yeah, well, think about our first relationships. Our first relationships are with the people that have brought us up, our parents, our carers, our guardians. We have family around us, we have cousins, we have brothers, sisters. Then as we develop and we go to school and we have our teachers, we have our friends, we start getting influence and we respond in certain ways. We see certain things. It may have hurt us, or it made us angry and things like that. And then from that, we create responses to those situations. And most of the times, or a lot of the times, we don't change those. And we just keep going on with life further and further and further with those same reactions, thinking that this is the way it is. And you've probably heard that it is what it is. You've heard that situation before, that or that belief before, or this is who I am, this is my life, things can't change for me, or whatever it is. What we start building are certain beliefs around those situations, and that justifies our reality. And
certainly, we see our friends and families justifying their reality and feeding into that same idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what happens as we get older or as we mature, we start building our environment with the same people who have similar beliefs, who have similar lifestyles, and that justifies our reality even more. So the more we continue in the same paradigm, the more we collect things or are attracted to things, attracted to people, and also people are attracted to us that are also in the same paradigm that we're living. And then when it comes to wanting to make a change,
Makes it really tough.
it makes it pretty tough, doesn't it? So therefore, what we need to be is make a solid decision when it comes to creating change. And that's where the step number one is. Okay. But a decision to change from what to what. And that's a big question right there, because a lot of the times we say, I just want to change. But what do we want to change? What's the actual thing or situation you want to change from and change into? And these are the things that we need to discover, because if you don't discover where you are and where you want to go, when you say you want to make a change, what decision are we making? Okay, and that's a great question. So if you have a look at some of these filters, you can have a look at some of these filters here. I'm just going to get my little laser pointer here. We've got the way we look at time, space, matter, and energy. The way we look at language. Now, I remember a workshop that I was teaching, and I asked the audience, "Hey, give me your definition of confidence. What confidence means." It's a pretty big word. Okay, what does that mean? And this specific class was a really interesting situation, because we had two polar opposite definitions, and one was confidence is those cocky, arrogant people. Okay, maybe it didn't say the word people, but you can imagine what the person said. That's cocky and arrogant, right? Where on the other end, we had another person that said the full expression of self. Wow.
That's
so
awesome.
when someone that has the definition of full expression of self is teaching someone confidence, and their meaning is cocky and arrogant, okay, you can see how that just those two different meanings can shift a paradigm so much.
Absolutely.
It was pretty amazing for me on how, we make up our own definitions when it comes to words and language. So that's a really huge thing.
And honestly, when you went past time, space, matter, energy, looking at how quickly you could shift somebody's paradigm by sharing just that change in language from a cocky, arrogant definition to this expansion idea. So most of us will put a lot of time constraints in there going, well, I can't make change instantaneously. That's something that takes time and effort and all sorts of excuses about why change doesn't happen.
And the way we look at time is a really interesting thing, because so many of us want more hours in the day. And the thing is, people who have shifted their paradigm have the same amount of hours as anybody else. It's just the way we represent time, our interpretation of things make that change. We all get 24/7. We all get the same amount of time. It's what we do with it, how efficient and effective we utilize that time. And I know myself, in the past, when I want to do a project and I'm thinking that it should take 30 minutes, and then 30 days later I'm still working on the project. Okay, and what happens there, if our interpretation, if we put our meaning in interpretation of time as effective results, what we'll do is a lot of people will give up. Oh, it didn't take 30 minutes, and they put all these beliefs instead of keeping that commitment. And that's the big thing. Our lives are worth way more than time. Our goals need to be transcendent. They don't need to be based on time. Okay. However, we put those limitations on ourselves. It's like, if I don't do it in 2 days, then I can't do it.
And that's where these memories and decisions of filters
Yes.
are created.
Yes.
We have now experienced something, thus it must be true.
Yeah, yeah, and now it affects our whole perception of reality.
Mhm.
And that, back then it took me this long. Okay, it's not for me. However, if we're persistent and persistent and persistent, we become more effective and become more efficient.
Mm.
As we, so if we focus more on effectiveness and efficiency instead of how long it takes, we shorten the time anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay, because we become better at doing things. And as Holly mentioned, our values and beliefs, that they're huge, because our values are the things that get us up in the morning. You know, think about the first thing when you get out of bed. What drags you out of bed, or what gets you out of bed? Okay, I say drags and gets you because depending on what belief, what paradigm you're living in, you either, you're living in despair, or you might be living in inspiration.
Sometimes we have an obligation, and that obligation is what drives us to get out of bed.
Yeah,
but again,
absolutely.
Is that really driven by an inspirational I guess instigator? Some people feel truly inspired by those obligations, whereas other people feel like it's more of a chore. And if we have these filters in place of the chore mentality, then we're just sticking into a paradigm that doesn't serve us or keep us in a higher vibration.
And we have all this information going on in our head. And the thing is, when we're stuck in a paradigm that we don't like, what we'll look for are situations outside of ourselves that we want to blame. Like we might blame our relationship that we're in. We might blame the career that we're in. We might blame the business we're in, or the government we're in, the situation we're in. We'll look for something to blame when we're in a paradigm in which we don't like. And again, when you start doing that, it's going to give you a justification of why you're there, and that keeps you there. Any thought to either justify or thought to that anything that justifies you staying where you are, whether you want to or not, is going to keep you where you are, because you're in a paradigm of problems. You're sticking in this problem paradigm over and over and over again, and you'll see it everywhere.
Well, it is a loop, if you think about what you're bringing in, what you're interpreting, and then what you're putting out, you're actually now creating more of what you were seeing.
And here's the
loop.
You're
going to continue looping.
Yeah, and here's the loop right here. So we have information that's coming in here. This is an external event, an external situation, and then goes through our filters, which then turns into what we call an internal representation. So this event has come through, goes through all these filters. Then our thought takes over of what is actually happening. So therefore, if we stay in the same internal paradigm, we're going to be seeing the same things coming through. And then guess what's going to happen in the way that we feel? The state that we're going to create is going to be exactly the same state. And then we're going to behave in exactly the same way. And when we behave, we create results. When we create those results, what's going to happen is that we're going to be seeing the same things coming in. And there's the loop right there. However, most of us get taught that we're looking for a change externally. When that external change happens, then I can change. Okay. Now, this is a surefire way to stay where you are. Okay.
Definitely.
Because you can get something external can change, and for a moment you can get excited or even more desperate. But then what happens is that you go back into your own old paradigm because you haven't made any change internally.
Oh, how many times have we seen that?
Wow.
I mean, think of people who go on diets. That's a perfect example.
Yes.
Hey, this particular organization is offering this meal plan. I'm going to go on this meal plan. I'm going to lose weight. It's going to be great. And this organization is thinking that you're going to change the way you eat because you're getting used to their meal plan. However, your paradigm has you set up into thinking,
Yeah.
once I lose weight, I can go back to doing what I've always done.
Yeah. And it's not because their strategies didn't work, because obviously the strategy worked. But if we don't change our internal environment, that is the internal environment in here, then all you're going to do when you reach a certain target is that you're going to go back to your paradigm because you haven't made the change. Exactly.
Yeah, all those things that you were doing from the beginning.
Yeah. And they trickle back in. One thing at a time, one thing at a time, one thing at a time, because the old paradigm hasn't been rocked, it hasn't been shaped, and it hasn't been replaced with a new one. And that's the most important thing that we can share, is that old paradigms can only be transformed when new ones take over. Okay, and it's not just an eating plan. It's not just the plan. The plan is part of the paradigm shift, not the actual paradigm shift. Okay, and that's a big shift in thinking right there. Is that a lot of people just looking for a different strategy to create different results. But if you don't change the mindset behind that strategy, when you hit a certain, exactly, when you hit a certain target, then you'll stop and go back to your paradigm. Okay.
So really, yeah, there are two things that we really need to resolve here. Hey,
Yes.
You have to resolve the old paradigm.
You do, and that's the first thing. You need to resolve that old paradigm.
Yeah, and then you have to go forward. Yeah, the new paradigm's here.
So you need to resolve
the new one?
Exactly, you need to find resolve within the new paradigm, and this is a big difference. This is the difference that makes a difference, because a lot of the times people are like, yeah, I can resolve my past, but the thing is, if you don't resolve the new paradigm, you might be rejecting the very things that you want to create. And guess what's going to happen when you reject those things? You've got to go back to the old paradigm. Because you've probably heard this before, better the devil you know, right? Okay. And unfortunately, this is what happens. We just get comfortable. So we just go back to what we know because we haven't made a change. So the resolve part here is that two-step process of, as Holly said, resolving your past, resolving the old paradigm, and then resolving to the new one so you can actually welcome it. One, you need to let go, and one is to welcome and really fully live it. And once you've done that, then you can start making those changes. And those changes can actually happen quite rapidly when you're sitting in and living in this new paradigm. It's a pretty huge leap, or a quantum leap in change.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, you have to start with that rejection of the old paradigm. So that's when, as you're stepping into resolving what you want for your new paradigm, you're having to say no to the things and people around you that don't fit what you actually want. But I guess we really need to start with, you really have to manifest what you want. And so you have to first educate yourself on your perception to be able to see it the way you want to see it.
So how does that work? How does that work? Let's move on to the next slide. So what creates a new paradigm? Okay. And Holly said it from the beginning. It's number one thing is to focus on what it is that you want. Okay. The outcome. It's almost like you're going into your GPS and you're typing in a brand new destination. And this is what you want to do in your mind. You want to type in a brand new destination. And that's when I was saying from what to what. Because change doesn't happen if you don't have that destination. And this is what this whole program that we run is all about, is really resolving all the negativity that we've picked up, anything that's been limiting. When I say negativity, I don't mean negative emotions, because all emotions are great emotions, but unfortunately what happens is that we suppress a lot of things. okay, and they become unresolved and they get in the way. So we want to let that go by transforming it into great lessons, because everything that we go through has an amazing power to it, that once you get that power, once you get that lesson, amazing things happen. So we want to transform those things, situations, and then we can utilize them to move forward. The thing is, moving forward into what needs to be clear on your behalf. What is your outcome? Think about it. Just something small. What is it? What is it that you truly want in your life?
So think about that relationship that might be not quite where you want it.
Yeah.
What could it look like?
Yeah.
What is the ideal outcome of that relationship? And get clear on how you behave and what you get in return.
Yeah. But really think about, what are you doing in that relationship? Now, and these are the really important things, is that a lot of people want things in the relationship, but they're not willing to actually give that quality, because anything you want, you need to be the master of giving it. So if you want more respect from your partner, the question that you need to ask yourself is, how can I be more respectful? Or where am I not creating that respect? Where am I not giving my partner that respect? And you need to start paying attention on where you can give more respect.
Because honestly, we're all teachers in this world.
Yeah.
We all have something to learn. So we've known ourselves as students, but now it's time to own ourselves as teachers. So for us to get what we want, we actually have to tell the world what we want. We tell them by showing and doing exactly what it takes to create it.
Absolutely. But it's so easy to judge another person for not doing the things that you want them to do. But the question is, are you doing it yourself? Okay, and that's where the change happens. When you change, things change. You don't change when things change. Okay, when you change, things change. And the thing is, when you decide that you're the person that needs to make the change in their lives, you'll start seeing how amazing you can create your relationships. And also, you can actually create the relationship you truly want instead of a pretend one, by not being the person that you truly want to be. And that's a really big thing, because so many of us just turn into beings of non-confrontation, beings of, oh, just keep the peace. And what happens is that we don't express our inner selves. And what ends up happening is that we become passive aggressive. Okay, we end up in situations where, like, how did I get myself into this? And I've been there myself. Sometimes I'm scratching my head thinking to myself, what possessed me to go down that pathway? Okay, and that's when we know that we have some unresolved that we need to deal with.
And when you think about it, it really comes down to self-esteem, doesn't it? Because when you don't have that trust in self, and when you feel doubt in yourself, you're going to be creating all of these questions aimed at yourself, rather than looking at solutions. So you need to find that trust in your unconscious mind to bring you to what you want without question. And that's part of the paradigm shift, is developing that self-esteem within.
Yeah, absolutely. The breakthrough program we run is all about really getting rid of those things that are getting in the way of your esteem, because self-esteem is everything. But the things that we achieve with self-esteem is everything. Without it, we're never going to be living the life that we truly want. But and the life that we truly deserve, and the life that we're here to express. Okay, we're here to express our true selves, and it starts with your imagination, your thoughts. Number one faculty that you have right here, right now, is your imagination, and this is what we want to help you express and enhance in ways that you never thought were imaginable. Okay, because it's your thoughts that become things. Look at everything around you right now. Now, you're probably on the computer, or you could be watching this on the phone, or whatever it is. This is somebody else's imagination that's turned into reality.
Mm.
And it could have been just this little dream in the backyard of, and that was the office at the time, okay, wondering, you know, what it is that they want to create, and this is something that we're inspired to do. And think about that. How awesome is having are these phones that we can communicate to our loved ones all around the world in an instant. We connect to that frequency in an instant. But before, we weren't aware of those frequencies existing. We could only imagine them. And guess what now? We can connect to anyone around the world in an instant. We can send pictures to people around the world. We can do so many things. And this is from another person's imagination, another person's inspiration.
Well, that's just it. It's the inspiration.
Yeah.
First, you have to imagine it. And that's what inspires in you, the discovery process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so in that imagination, you know your outcome. You
Yeah.
have that picture.
Yes.
The discovery process of how comes later.
Yeah. So knowing your outcome is the first step. Now it's about feeling it in your body, because the only way we can actually execute any sort of thought is through behavior. So therefore our body has to be involved. Okay. So we need to feel that thought. What is that thought's pure feeling? So what we want to do here is now feel that as if you're living it and having it right now. What would it feel like if you had whatever it is that your imagination is, if you had that relationship you want, if you had that job that you want, if you had the career that you really wanted, the business that you truly wanted, how would that feel right now? How would you be interacting with people? Think about that. Your state, your confidence, how would that be right now? Really feel those feelings.
Notice the shift in your body. Notice how your shoulders might change, or your posture might change.
Posture, yeah.
Yeah, that feeling inside of what it's like to be what you are in your imagination.
Yes. Think about how you're communicating with people when you're in that state, that you have achieved that outcome. You're in that destination. Think about that. And when you've done that, and you step into it and really, really feel those feelings, okay, now to manifest that into reality, it becomes a learning process. But right now, this is the state that you need to make your decision. This is the reality that I truly, truly want. The people that do will do whatever it takes and make it happen. The people who don't make the decisions in these states, they're just sort of like, it's a dream, it's a pipe dream or something like that. They label it, but not identify themselves as it.
Well, they lose the inspiration, don't they? The old paradigm puts a voice in the head. That self-esteem that is reduced is kicking in, saying not good enough.
Yeah.
Right? Can't be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by staying in inspiration and believing it can be done, really owning the feelings of that and saying, I don't care what anybody says, this is what I want and how I want to be. That's when you can make change.
Yeah. And then making that decision, you have to make a commitment to it. And that commitment is a 24/7 commitment. But think about, why would you want to do anything else? I mean, really, what is the purpose behind wanting to do anything else other than what truly inspires you, what you're truly passionate about? If you can do the things that you're not passionate about, imagine how well you're going to do the things that you are passionate about.
Right.
Just really think about that as you're thinking about thinking, okay? So what's the next process? The next process is we need to adapt our perception, okay? adapt our perception. Okay, so we have our thought, we have our feeling, we've made the decision. Now we need to adapt our perception, because when something, like in our old paradigm, when something came through and we saw it as a problem, our new paradigm is going to look for the solution that's aligned to our new paradigm, to our new thoughts, to our new inspiration, our new imagination. We need to start looking at that. And when you find a resolve with your esteem, when you find resolve from that suppressed anger or suppressed hurt that you've had, or suppressed sadness or guilt that you have, when you make your resolve with that, what happens is that you start seeing things in a very, very different way. You'll start seeing your past in a very different way, because you're seeing your past now with the unresolved that you've gone through. But when you're going through resolve, and I'm quite sure you've been there, when you've heard something about you had an altercation with a person, and then you find out that what that person actually meant was something completely different, but you didn't explore it then.
Yeah.
You explore it later, and you're thinking, oh wow, I feel like a fool. Okay, that's not what happened at all. Okay, and it changes your whole perception of what happened in the past. Now, I don't know about you guys, but as I'm maturing, the relationship that I have in my head with my parents, because they've passed away, the relationship that I've held as I'm maturing is very different. But I look at things like, now me being a parent myself, the things that my parents were doing have got a completely different meaning now. I have a different kind of respect. So my childhood has completely changed now based upon my new learnings of what my parents were doing as I was growing up. But we didn't have that at the time. At the time, you're in this completely different paradigm. How dare they do this? How can they do this to me? Oh, all this stuff, right? But as you're getting more mature and you're becoming a parent yourself, you start seeing, wow, what they were doing back then was actually quite awesome. Okay, I needed that. if they didn't do that, and that's where changing your perception right now, making those making resolve with all that unresolved that you have, changes your past just like that.
Oh, that reminds me of a story, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was 18. So imagine no kids, don't have that perspective that you just shared.
Yes.
And where I worked, there was a girl I used to walk past all the time. And for whatever reason, I felt like she had an attitude. Yeah. I made a judgment there that this person wasn't very nice, might have even used a foul word, to talk about her attitude. And going about my business, carrying that, I found out later she felt the same thing about me. And so what's really interesting is that we can find ourselves in a circumstance like that where we see the world around us a certain way, but it doesn't always feel good. So even if we're not conscious about making change, when something doesn't feel right, our unconscious mind will still push us to make change. Yeah. And so it's really interesting because when we're looking at perception there, the idea of sensory acuity and action and all those things that you see listed here in the slide, it comes up for us just naturally. So what happened for me is I just happened to stop one day and notice a photograph. And I loved the photograph. And I just said it. Wow, that's a great photograph. Did you take that? That broke the ice. And from that moment on, the whole perception of each other changed. We were able to talk and find out that we were not what we thought about each other. And here I am, many, many years on, and that relationship still stands and we're still best friends. Yeah. So how amazing is that the universe is going to put that out because of what we're putting out unconsciously as well as consciously. And so when we're actually getting into a more conscious change scenario, we can really put more effort into feeling the state, getting into that perception that we want to be in, and actually making more conscious choices about the things that we do.
Yeah. And that's so vital. This whole program is about us becoming more conscious about who we are. And this is where a lot of people get this thing about truth becomes a really interesting thing, because a lot of the times what we think is true are our results, not who we are. And this is where the paradigm really needs to shift. Who I am and the results I get are very different things, because the results that we're getting are us learning how to manifest our imagination into reality. That's the results that we're getting, but that's not who we are. That's not the truth of who we are. But when we look at our bank accounts, okay, the potential that we have, who we are, is never going to be reflected, regardless if you make billions or trillions or whatever it is. It's never going to truly reflect who you are. Your self-worth is far greater than any material. You're greater than any expensive car. You're greater than any mansion. You're greater than anything. The thing is, a lot of us just don't live our potential, or choose not to even attempt to live our potential. And we have so much. And the thing is, when you make a decision, and one thing that we can pretty much guarantee is that we're never going to live our true potential. However, if we don't aim for it, we're never even going to get close to it.
Well, yeah, in thinking about that, you might have a purpose. You've come to it. You're 20 something. I have a purpose. There's something I must do with my life. You go for that purpose. You get somewhere along in your 40s and you're going, it's not my purpose anymore. It's shifted.
And it shifts,
you know, and it's going to shift again. It's going to shift again. There are people who have a purpose or don't have a purpose. You don't even know what your purpose is, but you're going to shift into all sorts of different avenues throughout your life. And that's really what we're talking about here, is understanding that your greatness is never really truly achieved, but the journey of discovering your greatness is the fantastic part.
Exactly. And this is what it's all about. It's really about the growth, who you become when you actually manifest your dreams, is who you become. And it's really hard to describe the feeling until you go through it on that change. So here we are, adapting our perceptions, having behavioral flexibility, really paying attention. The sensory acuity part is really paying attention to these new things, these new opportunities that are coming along. It's not the old problems that you used to see, it's the new opportunities. Okay, when someone sees a problem and somebody has created something that can sell for the solution for that problem. Okay, and that's the difference that makes the difference. If you're in that problem paradigm all the time and just thinking about problems and thinking to blame, you're not creating anything, and you're not actually helping anything or anybody with anything.
And you'll be missing those opportunities.
Absolutely.
You know, when they say when you close one door, another door opens. But if you're not looking, you wouldn't notice the door open.
Exactly. Absolutely. So therefore, we need to be flexible in our behaviors, because it's our behaviors that create the effects. So here are our thoughts. Our thoughts manifest these feelings, and these feelings create behaviors. And we need to be flexible about what behaviors we can do, because guess what? If something doesn't work, you change it. If something doesn't work, you change it. You don't change your imagination, you change the behavior until you get the result that you want. And this is why who we are, our imagination is far greater than the results that we get. Because we're still, like, for example, I wouldn't be able to do this, 20 years ago, because we didn't have this mode of communication. So my behaviors would have been different. But if I kept those same behaviors, because when I started coaching, it was about 24 years ago, now it's 98 that I started coaching. If I kept the same behaviors that I did then to do this, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to have that flexibility, because I'm not changing my behaviors. So that's why it's so important things are changing all the time.
Mm.
So therefore, we want to be able to go with that change and do what works. What worked yesterday might not work today. What works today might not work tomorrow. So guess what? We need to be adaptable. And that's why we need that sensory acuity.
Mhm.
And then we've got this next one, which is operate from the physiology and psychology of excellence. How do we do that? By interacting with people who already have the results that we have, that we want. Okay, these are the people that we need to interact with. These are the people that we need to pay attention to, instead of the naysayers or people that haven't gone through there, or people that are going to give you a hypothetical of how to achieve results without them really actually knowing. And that happens every day. Okay, people are always going to give you advice, and I always like to use the word advice as in it's adding another vice. Okay,
Yeah, that's a good one.
And to our already, and we've got enough of those already. A lot of people will give advice that they have no idea on what they're talking about. And I remember my story from when I was 12 years old, completely debilitated in pain. Okay, and I had a massive paradigm shift. I always remember crawling to go to the bathroom, and my whole mind just completely changed. I need to be strong. I need to find out exactly what's going on. I need to be in control of my life. This is what I want to look like. All these things were happening, and I turned into this weird kid. Okay, and I found out very, very quickly on who I express my dreams to, what I want to, and who I shouldn't. And there was more people that I shouldn't than people that I should. Okay, and I learned that very, very quickly about people. How many people say we're crazy? Okay, how could you think that? You can't do that. Okay, how do you go from debilitated to being strong? How do you do? You know, people will say to you, be realistic. Okay, so I learned very quickly on who I share my imagination with. And I remember in grade 1 or grade 2 in our primary school years, I'm quite sure you guys remember it too, a thing that we do called show and tell. Okay, show the results first and then tell people how to do it. Okay, instead of tell and show, because you don't want to go around telling people this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, and you end up being I'm going to do it.
I have experience with this, a lot of experience with this. How many times did I say, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be, this is my goal, this is that, and all I got back in feedback was nothing supportive. We'll just put it that way, but nothing that allowed me to create and to show that actually coming true. And so, yeah, it's a hard learning, but definitely a worthwhile learning. Just do it. Don't talk about it. Get into it, make it happen, and then show them what you've done. Then tell them about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is, as you're doing it, you attract people into your life, new people into your life that you probably would have never attracted before, because you've changed your paradigm. You'll be attracted to new people because you'll be vibrating in a different consciousness. Okay, and once you change your vibration, you're going to be attracted to things, and people are going to be attracted to you that didn't happen before, and you're going to be repelled from the things, and a lot of people are going to be repelled from you that probably you didn't notice before. Okay, and the thing is, you don't really care too much about that. You know that if someone doesn't like what you're manifesting, doesn't need to be in your environment. Okay,
that's for sure.
You don't have to interact with that, and that's a great way of weeding out negativity from your life. Okay, but you need to stay committed, and that's the thing. So you make the decision, and you stay committed to the decision. Okay, and that's what this whole after this webinar, you have the opportunity to come and join us in this journey of turning your life around. Okay, and we'll talk more about that program in a minute, but it's about breaking through this old paradigm into a new paradigm. Okay, and want you to have the opportunity to at least have us there guiding you along the way of this journey. Okay,
Yeah, we've walked it. We've been through it. We still go
Absolutely.
through it.
and
It's a
what-
never-ending journey.
And what does it take to do that? Now, I want Holly to give her an example here, because when I first met Holly, she actually asked me if she can have a breakthrough with me. Okay, and
It's pretty funny.
she had no idea what she was what she was getting herself into, and sometimes those changes were so subtle that her old paradigm was always getting in the way of her seeing those changes, okay, which is quite interesting. But this is what it takes. This is what it takes to break through into a new paradigm. Is that number one, we need to transform unresolved emotions. And this is not your everyday anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, because or shame or whatever it is. These are healthy things that we go through, and we go through. But it's the ones that we suppressed and we haven't got resolve in. So we look back and we still feel hurt. We look back and we still feel that anger. We look back and we still feel those emotions. That's when a lot of people call them negative emotions, because that in itself is when it manifests as something negative. Okay, the emotion of anger itself isn't negative. It's when we suppress it and we haven't resolved it that it comes out everywhere. You know, there's an angry person, and that's an unresolved anger.
And sometimes we think we're holding on to it rather than suppressing it. We don't see it the same way.
Yeah.
But it's the same result.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So we're not going to get rid of anger. Okay, we're here to resolve that suppressed anger, or whatever it is, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame. And the thing is and there's other things, because a lot of people don't see that emotions like excitement and being enthusiastic can be also manifesting as something negative. But I don't know about you guys, but some of the worst decisions I made in my life I made when I was excited and enthusiastic. Okay, I didn't make some bad decisions just with anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. But we've made some pretty crazy decisions when we're feeling excited. Okay, so and they're the things that we want to also go through and resolve. Okay, is making great decisions through our emotions, not just bad decisions. Okay, limiting, as I was saying, limiting decisions and internal conflicts. You want to make a change, but then this second thought comes in. Okay, part of me wants to change my life, and there's part of me saying, no, you don't deserve that, and all this stuff. So we end up with these conflicts internally. So we want to help you go through that as well. Okay, and then we need to help you discover your true values. What a great story I have here. Now, the story I have here about values is, I remember a lady coming to me for a personal breakthrough, and she wanted, her goal was she wanted to be in a loving relationship. Okay, but when we actually went through her values, love wasn't even in her values. As she was writing all her values down about how, being in a relationship, that wasn't there. And the interesting thing about why it wasn't there is that we said love equals hurt. And when we explored that a little bit more in the breakthrough, she found out that her partner at the time, which was a preacher, actually molested her daughters, and for her that, well, I have a daughter myself. Even just
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, and so therefore that hurt was so unresolved, and for her, love meant hurt. So the relationship she was even looking for, love didn't even matter. Okay, which is quite interesting. But when she went through the transformation of emotions, and she resolved that hurt, she became alive. She just could not believe it. She goes, where was this 11 years ago? wow, where were you 11 years ago? Okay, she was going really like the energy that was coming out was just amazing. And then she brought in both of her daughters to go through the breakthrough process themselves. As you can imagine, they would have gone through a fair bit themselves, not just the mum. So when we did that, the values changed. Love was number one. Okay, so we're going through that process is so important, and obviously discovering new goals. And so then what we have is taking action. You need to take, as soon as you are inspired to do something, you need to take action immediately, because if you don't take that action, guess what? Then we've both been there, haven't we, Holly?
Yep.
we have an idea, okay, let's do it, and we don't take action, and then months later we're thinking,
What happened?
We didn't do that thing. And it's like, what was it again? Okay, and that's what happens when you don't take action. Okay, it just disappears, and you completely forget about it a lot of the times. And as we're doing this, it's about focusing on what you want. That includes asserting the boundaries. How many people stop asserting their boundaries? Okay. We want to be flexible in our behavior, but you don't want to be flexible in what you want to create in your life. You don't want to compromise your outcome. Okay.
Definitely not. That's why you frequently, consistently need to remind yourself on what it is you're focused upon. If what you want is so important to you, it's in the forefront of your mind. It's constant. It's there.
Yeah.
You know, so like Alex mentioned earlier, how I came into getting into a breakthrough. Yeah, that was me focusing on what I wanted, but feeling limited. Yeah, something there was stopping me. I was doing my gratification. I was listening to my affirmations. I was making changes, but my life wasn't changing. And it was funny because I'm sitting here saying all this, and as I'm laying it all out and saying what I'm doing, I said, I feel like I've just hit this ceiling. Like I don't know what else to do. I feel like I just can't break through to get to where I want to be. And I went, I think I need a breakthrough. Because it just blurted out just like that. I was so ready for change that the literal word just flew out of my mouth.
And look, she was definitely ready for change. Now, I don't do personal breakthroughs with people who are not ready for change, because there's so many people that they say they want the change, but they don't really want the change. And a breakthrough isn't, I don't really do one-on-ones anymore because they're expensive. This is and it's really hard to be able to do this breakthrough program, because that's what we did. I've put this whole breakthrough program online, so you can actually do it yourself with our guidance. So you can actually do this whole breakthrough.
Well, we want to help more people.
Absolutely.
And how can we help more people one at a time?
It was really hard. It was really hard to just do one person here, one person there. And I'm like, there's so many people that want breakthroughs. What am I going to do? Okay, so and that's why we put it online, so we can actually touch everybody, or as many people as we possibly can around the world, and with the guidance, because you're going to have guidance with us, weekly guidance throughout this whole thing, live as well. So you don't just do the program, but we're going to be there every week. So you have all the questions, and we're going to answer all those questions that you need on a weekly basis. Okay.
Yeah, plenty of opportunity to talk to us, to bring up those resistance points that are coming up for you. Surely you'll be able to listen to someone else. They may have a resistant point you didn't recognize, but you've discovered and find out for yourself. And this is a really great way to reach the many of you who really need a little assistance in getting to where they want to be.
Absolutely. And the great thing about this is it's self-paced. You don't have to do things all at once. You can do it in your own pace, in the company own home or office or wherever it is that you can actually do this program. And the one-on-one personal breakthroughs, we used to do over 3 days, and it was just phenomenal. So you can duplicate that and do it over 3 days if you wanted to, and then have support with us for as long as you need. Okay, so that's the great thing about the program and having the question and answer weekly sessions, live sessions, is that you have our support.
And really the interesting thing is you go through the program, you're going to find at different stages, it helps you resolve even further. You know, we talked about changing purpose or, you know, recognizing new opportunities. This is going to help you reach new levels and greater depths within you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it changes your whole vibration of being, and you change your vibration. Again, you're going to be attracted to different things, and different people are going to be attracted to you as well. You're going to start paying attention to what actually works instead of just making things work based on what we know that it should work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the should word.
How many times? But it should work this way. You know, it's like I should be able to wear a clown suit and win tennis tournaments. It's like it makes no sense in context. We need to be adaptable. You know, if I came in here wearing my gym outfit, you know, having a singlet and things like that, it just wouldn't make the same impression as wearing a shirt. So understanding that in different contexts, we need to be able to dress, to be able to dress differently, to be able to communicate differently. The words that we use in a webinar will probably be different to the words that we use in a relationship as a couple. We're not going to be talking like this to each other while we're communicating with one another. So in context, and we need to pay attention to that, because that's what attraction is all about. Really paying attention to what are the things, how is it that we need to dress, how is it that we need to communicate. And this is where the psychology and physiology of excellence is all about, you know, finding mentors in the industry that you want to be in that capacity, because that's going to help you fast track the results that you want.
And I know firsthand what it's like to not be dressed to match my environment. Yeah, so that's something that I had to come through. I learned from a young age, dress to impress.
Yeah.
Always put your best face forward. And yet in my learnings, I really wanted to express my individual self. So how do I express my individual self, put my best foot forward and dress to impress, right? But as we're learning and as we're growing, we really start to see how we can be our individual self and express ourselves just how we want, and still have that beautiful flexibility to merge with the life that we want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the great, the key word is flexibility.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to dress a certain way in every context.
Absolutely.
You can express yourself in different ways, which is great. But to do all this and to have all that freedom, we need to, you know, as Bob Proctor says, get out of the prison that you don't know you're in.
Yeah, I love that. That's the best.
Bob Proctor, he was one of my mentors, amazing man. And that's one of the things he used to say all the time, because people are in a prison that they don't even realize that they're in. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the paradigm that we've created for ourselves without even realizing that we actually created it for ourselves. And that's the whole discovery here. It's about understanding that we are the ones that have created it. We are the ones that are in charge of this mind, and therefore we are the ones that can change it. Okay. And once you get that, then everything changes. Everything changes. When you change, everything changes. You don't change when everything changes. Okay. It's a shift. It's that shift. So remember, perception is attraction. Perception is attraction. How we perceive is what we're going to be attracted to, and how we are perceived is how we're going to be, is who is going to be attracted to us. Okay. What we perceive and how we're perceived. Change our perceptions, change our perspective, we change our lives.
That's right. We're using that inspiration to find solutions. So when we're using inspiration and solution thinking, we can really start to set ourselves the goals that get us
Yeah.
what we want.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like your life has no purpose, or if your dreams really seem far away, if you're stuck in a cycle of chaotic, exhausting relationships,
Yes.
you're most probably not aware of your thinking and how your thoughts are affecting your reality.
Yes.
So here we've given you a few tips, a few tools, a little bit of, helpful experience
Yeah.
to help you see that truly, if you want to get to a particular outcome, you have to attract it to yourself. So when you change your thoughts, you will shift your paradigm. You will shift your reality.
Yeah. So now we're going to get to the serious end of things. Okay. Have you made a decision to make a change? I mean, really made a decision to make a change. Okay, not just it's a good idea, or maybe one day, maybe it's me, maybe not. Like a really serious decision. I'm going to make that change, and you can actually see yourself working with us. Okay, because we'd love to be there for you and helping you go through this change and go through a breakthrough. Now, if you're serious about doing that, what we'd love for you to do, okay, is click the link below this webinar, and what you'll see in that link is a link to make a strategy call. Okay, make a strategy call with us. Okay, so so love to be able to do that with you. So click the link below. Okay, and in that link you'll be able to see where you can either make a conversation with myself or with Holly and some other people as well. You'll start seeing pop up as we go along, because we have a lot of people that are going to be part of this journey in helping us, because we also are going to be looking for affiliates as well, and we'll talk about that on the phone if you're interested in doing that.
Yeah, if you're inspired, really, you love
Absolutely.
what we're doing here, and you
Absolutely.
really feel that calling, there's opportunities for you.
Yeah, because we love to have more and more people in this world promoting breakthroughs and promoting, the more help we can get, the better it's going to be. So please
Absolutely.
click the link below, make a call with us, and would love to see you on the other side. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I look forward to talking to you. Look forward to helping you.
fantastic. Have an awesome day, and look forward to talking to you on the phone. Okay. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.